Hey, Auntie.
All right. Hello, everyone. Today we're talking about Black Panther. Finally, we get to talk about Black Panther. All right.
Yeah.
So, we have talking points here, but it's not necessarily to guide the conversation. It's just things to refer back to. So, would anyone like to start off?
So, did you guys like Black Panther? Like, did you find it entertaining? Like, would you see it again? Have you seen it again?
I loved it. Personally, I've seen it 6 times, but that's just me. I don't know.
I've seen it half as many times.
I've seen the movie twice. I accidentally fell asleep the second time, but I didn't mean to. But it was not on purpose. Like, it was...
You were just tired?
Yeah.
I'd be lazy.
What else would I like to say? This is like seeing this movie in theaters. It was one of the best experiences that I've had going in like a theater, because it was like it was a general it was like a sort of like a general premise that like a general mindset that everyone had going into the movie. And like normally when I would go into a movie and there was a scene that you would feel need to clap for, no one would really do it, but in this movie people definitely did.
Me and Matt seen it like at the early premiere of it, so everyone that was there were like true Marvel fans. A lot of people had on like African attire. It was just a whole day. It was so cool.
What?
People clapped, cheered, laughed, cried. It was like more personal than your average movie going experience.
I agree with the whole, like, belief, like, everyone went into the theater, like, thinking a certain way, like, all about equality, and just, like, everyone who was there was, like, trying to enjoy the movie to the fullest and wasn't there to bash it at all, which I thought was great.
As a fan of the Marvel comic books and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I thought it was one of the best examples. Especially,
I would also agree that like seeing it the first and second time, I didn't really have it that high on my rank in terms of Marvel movies, but third time I was like, yeah, it's my favorite Marvel movie. It definitely is.
Because it's hard to say that after seeing a movie once or twice that it's the best one, because these movies have been coming out. I think the first Iron Man came out in 2008. So that's half my life I've been living with these movies.
Yeah.
And finally, I get to see people that look like me represented. And on top of that, it was just a good movie. So that was great.
The cast was fantastic. Like, everyone was casted really well. And it just was a lot of, like, representation that, like, we usually don't get, which was great. What was your favorite Marvel movie before Black Panther?
I would say Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yes.
My favorite. And the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, the fight scenes still didn't wow me as much as they did in Winter Soldier, but the second time I was like, okay, he just rode the car like a surfboard, so. And the part of him jumping on top of the car and then like grabbing the wheel almost beat the motorcycle scene, so.
I would agree with Winter Soldier being my previous favorite. However, where Black Panther is like set apart from it, for me, is like I feel like it has a deeper meaning, and it also had like more to the hype of the movie, which was pretty much the Black Panther movement that was formed around the movie, which is I think is absolutely amazing.
Usually when I go into these Marvel movies, because I have one side of me which is the Marvel nerd, and then one side of me which is the film nerd, and so it's kind of a dilemma between me, because though I love the Marvel movies, as a film person, it sometimes didn't have the best developed plot. The action scenes were always great, but I felt like with Black Panther, both sides of me were able to fully enjoy it, because it was a great movie. It had great dialogue, great cinematography, great acting, great action, just 10 out of 10 everywhere, which usually I don't get that with Marvel. Like, I love the movies, but it's not. This is my first time just being like fully like, wow, this is the best Marvel movie and one of my favorite movies in general. So that was a nice feeling.
So I had mentioned the Black Panther movement around the movie, not previous Black Panther movie, but yeah, the Black Panther movement. I kind of wanted to to discuss what exactly do you guys think the movement is?
It's already an ambiguous topic anyways, because when Black Panther was created, literally a few months later, the actual Black Panther Party was created. And it's a lot of confusion about was he based off that? Was he meant to be like a kind of like a civil rights like superhero? Some people say it's a coincidence. Some people say it's not. It's kind of just like the timing is a little.
Well, yeah, like so, like my focus is like sort of like ignoring well, you can't really ignore the previous Black Panther movement, but I just wanted to like focus on like how that movement affects people like today. So like the movement for me is very much the hype around the movie, but it's how the hype is handled. It's not just about the movie. It's about what the movie represents to people, as well as I guess what else it brings, the fact that it brings something new to the table.
I agree with that because I feel like the movie like inserted a lot of like culture from different areas that like most Marvel movies don't focus on, and then also like it brings back like this Black pride that the original movement had, which was like Black self-confidence, and I feel like that was great for like during this time, especially with all the police brutality going on now. So I feel like that was like a great addition. So like it got like Marvel fans who weren't even like fans of Black Panther to like appreciate what was going on, even just like the Marvel universe. But even now, like they can appreciate everything else.
I think like that's a really good point because there was like so it touched on so many things like culturally, like especially within the African diaspora because of especially how it talked about Killmonger and T'Challa and their relationship and why there's so much resentment behind it and how like even today that disconnect among like Black people just because of like where we come from and everything. And I really liked how it highlighted that. Even though it is like just a superhero movie, like they did. It's not just like that's what I'm saying. It's not just a superhero movie because what superhero movie would touch on that? Like where have we seen that where it touches on something like that and brings the concepts together so like cohesively, artistically. So I really love that.
Usually we don't watch action movies for like their plot, really, just like the fight scenes and then maybe like just the climax and like the plot. But like this had everything. Like you were just going into the movie and you were like actually interested in what was going on. Like some action movies, like I can like look at my phone for like 10 minutes and then still like know what's going on. But if I wasn't paying attention during this movie, I probably would have been a little lost and like upset that I wasn't paying attention later on. So I feel like that's different from other Marvel movies.
One thing that I feel like I was able to appreciate about the making of this movie greatly is that so like I had watched a lot of interviews with say the director and Ryan Coogler, like his process when making the movie, like he said that he was pretty much I don't want to say full reign with the movie making process, but Marvel had like contacted him and it was like, yeah, and it was like, be creative with the movie, pretty much. And like one of the things that he did is he had never went to Africa before, and instead of just taking the outside perspective of what that would be like, he instead went to Africa to experience it. And also on top of that, with the language in the movie, because they speak Wakandan, but that's based off of actual language in Africa, which is the Xhosa language. Yeah, it's a clicking language. It's cool. All right, but yeah. Those are processes that the director went through that I feel like is very appreciated. That I can very much appreciate in the making of the movie.
Also, the fact that he put in Oakland, which is his hometown, also the origins of the actual Black Panther Party. Even though in the comic books it did take place, Killmonger's home was in Harlem, or I think I messed that up. It was somewhere in New York, one of those boroughs. So I think that was a nice touch on what Will Bass said.
I think like also the movie just did really well in highlighting the pride and like the superiority that it highlighted in this. Like when we think of Africa, we usually think of it as like one of the lowest. Like we just think of it very lowly, and this country is in like I think it's like around like the heart of Africa, and it just highlights it as being superior and strong, and we never associate that with Black people, especially Africans. So personally for me, that meant especially a lot to me, and seeing that and how they display that to the world, and how
Yeah, because Wakanda is one of the richest places in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is the richest place. And so it was a crazy thought to me, because even though it was like hyperbole and it was exaggerated for the fact of being a superhero movie, it's something that Africa could have been if it was never imperialized and colonized by European hands. Just even the fact that everyone in the movie wore like their natural hair and everyone had their natural culture. Yeah, he is. And then he has the new vibranium arm.
Yeah.
Cap got the new vibranium shield. Tony Stark's gonna be like, wow, I guess I don't exist anymore.
I'm sorry, this is
Alright, well, so I wanted to ask a question for everyone. I wanted to know what type of feeling the movie brought out in people. For me, it was a very longing feeling. I almost said I needed to be in Wakanda. I need to be in Wakanda. So anyone else?
I see a lot of people talking about like how important this film is going to be for representation for children, but I'm 17. I felt that same feeling, like finally I've been represented. I felt kind of like a kid feeling, like even though I did have superheroes that I looked up to, I never had superheroes that looked like me, and just African superheroes. It was just so cool. And then the fact that the story took place in Oakland, which is also where I'm from. I'm just like, I had the full package, man.
No, it was definitely very inspiring and very like empowering. Like we were all, even though we all went together to see it, and it was just like emotional, very emotional, and it just had it was everything that I hoped it to be and better, basically.
I wasn't wishing for anything like when I went to go see it, because I knew it was going to be amazing. Just walking in, it was just like walking out. Like people had a different perspective, especially people who are not of color who went in, like they thought of African people in a different light because of this movie, and I thought that was like a great plus. Like walking out, I knew that someone like changed their opinions on Africa and Wakanda and just like Black Panther as a whole.